Morning, folks. How you guys doing today? So I wanted to continue our deal review playlist, if you will. We created one yesterday. I want to create maybe a couple more this weekend for sure, just to see if these are something that people get value of. So again, I've created 10 questions that I'm going to go through. I'm going to do these deal reviews my own way. It is not going to be about the numbers per se. It's not going to be about, hey, look at all the profit I made. Frankly, I believe you shouldn't care the profit I made, and I shouldn't put it out there because I think it's tacky. However, I think with every deal there are lessons learned and things that I could share that could value you. So that's what I want to do on this channel. So I want to talk about a little house that we actually found on the MLS. This is a house um, that was actually after you investigated it, after I investigated it, I found that the seller was on the East Coast. It was actually the current existing owner was the son of um, basically the son inherited the property is where I was trying to go with that, and he had no intention of being a landlord. What I found with this listing is there was actually a second listing, same situation, same son. He had inherited two rentals from his father, who had passed earlier in the year. His son tried to manage these from the East Coast, but he had no intention of moving back to Fresno, which is again where I invest if you don't know by watching this channel. And he gave up. So they were both listed for 119K. They were both listed as 3 bedroom, 1 baths. And in the market I'm in, those are screaming like right offer immediately kind of stuff. However, they had been listed, so first off, so I found them the first day they were listed and reached out, and the seller said they had, or the agent said they had 5 or 6 offers already going over the asking price, and basically at that point I don't get into bidding wars and didn't move forward. But what I found out 2 or 3 weeks later is they were still listed. So again, I reached out to the listing agent and said, what's going on? He says, well, after I got inside, they're in pretty rough shape, and all the offers that I had backed out. And I said, oh, interesting, right? I don't mind a project, and I let him know that I was coming down to Fresno, and he was able to get me in one of the units. For whatever reason, it was hard to get in the second one. And when we got inside, first off, so from the street they looked fine, right? The pictures that were taken were as is, right? Needed a little bit of a paint job, maybe some trim work, but the outside looked fine. But when you got inside, it was the worst I'd seen ever. And I saw stuff that was better in the real estate crash that was empty, and these were both had tenants living in them, which is so sad, right? This to see what some people are asked to live in and pay rent for is sad and not okay. And it was bad. I mean, I don't know how else to say it other than it's the worst I'd ever seen. So, after going through it for 5 minutes and realizing that there's buckets under the sink and the toilets constantly, I mean, it's just bad, right? And I came out and called the agent back, and I said, well, that's horrible, right? What are you doing? And he said, well, that one, that's the worst one. The other one's a little bit better. And I said, I hope so, because I would hate to see what worse looks like. And we talked about it, and I said, well, I'm willing to take these and pay cash, but we're only willing to pay 80 grand instead of 119. Let's call it 120. And he said, seller's not going to be interested, right? They got all these offers at 119. They haven't been out here. They don't know what's going on. Blah 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 blah. And I basically said, not my problem. I'll write up the offer with you. You can double end it at 80K anytime you want. And he said, okay. Let me talk to him. Let me talk to him. And he came back one time and said, hey, what about 100? I'm like, you're not listening. It's 80K. That's all we can do. And long story short, the seller, after 60 days, decided to get on a plane and come out and see what was really going on. Um, he spent about an hour inside each unit. I'm not sure what he was doing in there. I'm getting this secondhand from the agent. But basically, coming out of that, the agent called me back and said, the seller's ready to do a deal. Are you still there? You're the only one that seems like they'll come through without renegotiating and inspections and all of that stuff. I'm like, yeah, an inspector would laugh at this place. Why would anybody bring somebody? But he said he can't do 80. He's got to feel like he's got to win. And I said, okay, one time offer only. I'll do 81K each. And he said, well, I was hoping for more like 85, but let's see. I'm like, well, it's 81K today, or we're back to 80K, and I might go to 75 next time. And he called me back later that day and said, deal, 81K. So after about 45 days on the market, they were both originally listed for, let's call it 120. We ended up getting both houses for 81K. So that's how we got there. That was the whole negotiation cycle. And lastly, the deal was, if I didn't say, on the MLS multiple listing service. So that's question 1 and 2. Because again, both of these had tenants, very, very sad. They shouldn't have been asked to live there, and they were paying, which was crazy to me, but they were paying. I had to give 60-day notices for them to move, because there's no way I could tackle the kind of remodel that this place needed with them there. So what I did do is I went back and got private money, right? So with my 6 and 20 program, I had a friend loan me back the 81, or 81 times 2, right? He took the loans on both. And so I was paying them 6% interest every month. And one tenant got out in 30 days, and then the other one got out in 60 days, because we bought both houses. But for this house, it did take 60 days. So we did estimate $40,000 remodel for this, because it needed everything, and it used all part of that 40. I think after we ended up doing a little bit more. We ended up spending just about $42,000, and the place looked great. We did target getting rent of $1,250. We ended up getting $1,275. Right, so we exceeded rent estimates once again, which was really nice. We did estimate, the timeline. So 40,000, we came in at 42. The timeline we estimated at a month. It ended up being about 5 weeks, just because just the demo took longer. It was pretty bad. So we had a target lease at $1,250. We came in at $1,275. The timeline was an extra week, cost an extra $2,000. We did have a buyer lined up even before we started. We identified an investor, a landlord, who wanted to buy a 3-bedroom, or actually a 4-bedroom home. So we agreed on a price, which we accepted, and they were ready to go, and just closed on this investment property. So again, they're happy. The new tenants that are in are happy. The neighborhood's happy, because I'm sure it was a problem. We did pay off our partner, right? They got their 81 back. They got 6% interest the whole time, and then we gave them 20% of the profit, which was about $6,000, just over $6,000. So the partner was very happy. So the keys to this deal, which is why I really do these deal reviews, is, you can absolutely find deals on the MLS. Sometimes you have to stick to it, right? We saw this listing the first day it came out, and we actually didn't buy it. We didn't get an agreement until 45 days later. Again, we found one, and then through conversations with the agent, we knew that there were 2 for sale, right? We didn't find the other one. We probably wouldn't have found it unless the agent had highlighted it for us, because it wasn't obvious in the listings that they were connected. So again, talking to the agents pay off. Sticking to your guns, but also be willing to give a little, right? We were solid at 80, but realized that the seller had to feel like they had a win, so we gave them 81. We gave it a 24-hour clock, which helped, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, those are kinds of lessons learned, because from there we did everything right. 60-day notice, full remodel, exceeded our target rents. And again, turn this. We were probably owners of this property for less than 6 months in total. You know, our investors are happy. So first off, the seller was happy. The agent was really happy. He had a problem, right? Can you imagine trying to show this house all the time? Crazy. Agent's happy. Seller was happy. Our investor was happy, right? Private money was happy. Our buyer is ecstatic. Everything's new in this house. So they have they have more expected rent than their original numbers showed, and we're happy, right? We exited this, and we feel like we turned a slumlord into a pride of ownership. So we're very happy with this house, and looking forward to the next one. So let me know what you think of these deal reviews. Again, I want this to be more about the lessons learned and hows and stick to itiveness, not about, hey, Michael made X or Y. I don't think that's important. But at the end of the day, this is a deal found in the MLS. You had to stick with it, um, but it was fun. All right, let me know what you think. Leave comments below. Hit the subscribe button, and always give us those thumbs up. Take care. Bye.